Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. I'm, of course, your host, Blitz, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Tier 10 autoloading American Heavy Tank, the newest one at that, at least, because obviously we've had the 57 Heavy for a very long time, the M6 Yoh. Now, this vehicle in particular has a huge amount of controversy riding on it currently, because half the player base want this thing nerfed like no other vehicle, but at the other hand, a lot of the player base want this vehicle staying exactly the way it is. I'm going to be telling you my personal opinions of this tank in today's video, what I think should change, or if anything should change at all. So obviously, if you agree with me, or you want to see more videos like this, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. As always, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, so this is just my personal opinion on the tank. If you disagree, please let me know what you think in the comments down below, but please make sure to watch the full thing if you're going to make a comment that is disagreeing with my opinion, just so, you at least have all of the points conveyed, and you don't say something that I've already said in the video. So yeah, let's get straight into it. I do think that this vehicle needs a nerf. That's right out of the bag. I'm going to say that. I've talked to every single player that has not only tested this vehicle when it was in the latest testing stages, so after they had nerfed it, and they all agree it was overpowered. Fatness tested it. He knows it's overpowered. He made his video on it and said it was overpowered. Not only that, I think it's overpowered because of the way I'm currently performing in it. It's my highest performing vehicle, 85% win rate for 20 games, and 3,900 average damage. Bat chat begins. Oss, which is the Void clan lead. All these people completely agree that it is overpowered. And obviously, just saying that's overpowered doesn't really mean anything. We're going to back it up with some reasoning. Now, I do like the 105. I've said in 2 videos that I enjoy the 105 more than 120mm, and I still do stand by that. This gun is more enjoyable to me because it gives me more engagement into the game. It has more DPM, and it's got another shell, but it's got a longer intraclip. So when you add all these things together, you're shooting more shells and in a quicker time than the other gun because, of course, this gun has more alpha. I actually enjoy the 105 just because you're able to shoot more, it makes you feel more engaged in the game, and at a certain aspect, that more DPM can help you in a lot of scenarios. But on the other hand, this gun here, this is the reason why I think this tank should be nerfed. Now, it's not necessarily that the gun is overpowered itself. It doesn't have a lot of DPM. It's 2,500. It's not bad DPM. A lot of people tried saying that it doesn't have DPM. That I don't agree with. 2,500 is just about the same as a vehicle like an IS-4. So it's not terrible DPM on the vehicle. The thing that makes this tank OP is that intraclip dump. It's a 1.71 second intraclip. That is what I'm starting to learn. After playing this for, I played it about 10 games today with the 120 just to see what it was like. And it's definitely toxic. I don't even find it fun. Like, I'm going to play these replays here, and you're going to see just how quickly you can destroy somebody's hit point pool with this gun. Even if you don't pen both of your shells, you're still dealing 450 damage. And if you pen both, you're dealing a 183mm damage shell in 1.71 seconds. Not to mention, this thing is decently mobile. It's got a huge chunk of hit points at 2,600, and as well, 10 degrees of gun depression, and fantastic hull-down capabilities, with an extremely impervious turret apart from the cupolas on the roof, which are still very tricky to hit, because of course you can just wiggle it back and forth. A lot of people have a very hard time of penetrating this vehicle. Now, the first argument a lot of people have said, I of course wanted to do a little bit of, exploring on both sides, people that think it is balanced and people that don't think it's balanced. The biggest argument that I've seen a lot of people state from the people that say that this vehicle should stay in the current state is that it's a terrible 1v1 tank because it doesn't have a lot of DPM, and that once it shoots its clip, it's got a 20-second clip reload, and you can rush it. Now, I do agree. In theory, that works great. If I was up against, let's say, like that Patton there, if I shot him twice, that Patton can put on adrenaline and shoot me like 4 times, and I am going to lose, 1,500 hit points in that time. The thing is, and the reason why that doesn't work is because in a real-life scenario, and that's what Blitz is, 90% of the time you're playing 7v7. I hope that you're playing 7v7, because if you're not, there's a problem there. But the thing is that you have teammates in games. It's not just like you're a 1 versus 1. If you're driving this tank alone, then that's your fault why you're dying and why you think it's currently not needing a nerf. Because clearly, you don't want to drive this tank alone. It's just like the Kronvong argument. A lot of people tried saying when the Kron first came out that, oh, it has no DPM, it's going to be a bad tank, blah, blah, blah. You just push on it after it clips, and well, I've played my Kron about 500 or 400 times now, and the amount of times I've been pushed are Probably less than 10. The only times I die in my cron are literally when the enemy mediums come up behind me and they kill me. That is the exact same scenario I'm finding with this Yoh, where you really don't get pushed on. People don't want to push on this tank because, newsflash, I got teammates all behind me. I'm going to play this tank using my brain. I'm going to make sure that, the enemy tanks can't shoot me because I'm going to have cover from my team behind me. That is how you want to play a vehicle like this. If you're playing this thinking that you're a one-man army, you're just wrong and you're playing it incorrectly. That is definitely not how this tank should be played. Even with the 105mm, you still should not be playing it like this. But this here is where I find the gun to be completely toxic. That is a full health Sheridan, and, well, that's now 902 hit points taken off of him. Now, clearly, I would have done that with the other gun as well, but imagine that that's a heavy tank that, you track, and obviously it might take somebody, half a second to 1 second to repair their track. That means that they've only got 0.7 seconds to back up by the time you've done that. Not to mention, a mechanic that a lot of people just blow off and don't even remember, is the fact that you physically can't track this vehicle. By the way, there's a Chieftain, there's 460, and that's 952 hit points, and then you just back up and reload. We're already sitting over 3,000 damage this game, and again, that's it. That's the whole playstyle. That is why I really find this gun needing to be nerfed. It's not the other gun. The other gun I find fine. Like, it does great, but it definitely has drawbacks, like that long clip reload. This gun just, you sit there and you dump all the damage out so quickly. And the thing is that I can almost bet that this vehicle will be nerfed. For all the people that say that this tank doesn't deserve a nerf, I can almost guarantee that this vehicle will be getting a nerf. Now, if I'm wrong, I will eat a shoe for you. But from the experience I've noticed with Wargaming, how they work as a company, they usually release a vehicle into the game that starts off extremely strong. And the Yoh is no exception to that. I can almost guarantee that this vehicle, within the next month or two, will be getting some sort of nerf. I'm not exactly sure what it will be, but it's definitely going to have some sort of retweaking, because I can tell you from my experience and a lot of players' experience, the fact that this thing can just go bam bam and that's 900 hit points gone is completely unfair. So yeah, but that's really the only argument I've seen a lot of people make, is the fact that it's just, I don't know, that you can 1v1 it and beat it. That's the biggest argument. But the thing I'm trying to say is the term broken is very open-minded, the way that you can use it. I'm using the term broken in the fact that this gun is toxic. It does not create a friendly environment for everybody to play with, and it creates camping at a certain extent. That is the issue with this tank, where the fact that you're too scared to push out in the open because you're worried that this thing's going to be like an artillery on PC and slap half your hit points away in 2 seconds. The other issue with this vehicle is just, there's no real downside to it. Like, sure, you've got that long clip reload, but again, if you just use your teammates, there's really no downside to it. It just doesn't have any downside. That's the reason why I find this tank's gun broken. Just the fact that you clip them for 2 seconds and then you back into your cover and you hide with your teammates. Like, the Kron can at least hold its ground. This vehicle can hold very well, but you also use its teammate. It's just like a 57 heavy. And the other argument, that's actually the other argument a lot of people have said. They said, why don't just play a 57 heavy? It's got a 1200 clip, and in 2 seconds, or 2.5 seconds should I say, the 57 heavy is able to dump out 800 damage, where this vehicle only does 100 more. Well, the difference between this tank and a T57 heavy is the fact that this has armor. That is the only reason. The 57 heavy has literally no turret armor. Sure, you can get troll bounces, and sure, I'll agree with that in the comments, but it's not really a heavy. The T57 heavy is like a heavium. It gets its clip out, and then it backs up. That's all it does. By the way, there you go. That's 1, and that's 2. That's it, 900 damage. I probably wouldn't have gotten the third shell out with the other gun. This gun just, that's it. It's incredible how quick it gets at the damage. If I skip ahead again, you'll see again this poor Chieftain Mark 6 here. He's going to pull out, and he's just going to regret it. He's going to regret his life. There's 1 shell, and there's 2. There you go. That again is 955 hit points of damage taken off of the enemy team. We're already sitting at 2,300. Like, I just don't find that fun. It can't be fun for the enemy team to get hit by that. I've had a lot of people curse at me already. it needs to be changed. As I said, the term broken is very different from overpowered. I think that this tank needs to be nerfed because this gun specifically ruins the fun for people. It creates camping because nobody wants to lose 900 hit points instantly. And it's just, I was playing a tier 8 game the other day, and the tier 9 with the exact same gun with, of course, a much longer clip reload, it literally just nuked Batchat. We were playing together, and he was in his ISU in 30. It literally nuked him from full health, because it has pretty much the ability to do that. And that was his entire game over, because a tank decided to pull out, and in 1.71 seconds, destroy his entire hit point pool. So, yeah, this game here, I didn't get any more shots out, but we still did 3,900 damage. And this is a perfect example to show where, just like the other game, this tank pulls out extremely high damage for little to no effort. All you do is you shoot 2 shells, you back up. You shoot 2 shells, you back up. That's almost every single game I've played in this tank. And it's not just me. You know, it's not just a lot of people, a lot of my haters will comment in the video, oh, you're wrong. Droodles complains that every tank that comes into the game is overpowered. But the thing is, am I wrong? You know, if you complain, I understand. But at least have a reasoning behind the complaint. That's the only thing I don't get. You know, I understand if you disagree with my opinion. If you think that this vehicle is not, is not good. It's obviously your personal opinion, and as long as you believe that, I can't change it. I respect that. That makes sense. But on the aspect of that gun, it will be receiving a nerf. I'm very, very confident in that, so that's really all I have to say. It's like the same people that would argue the Sheridan missile is a balanced tank. It was a game-breaking mechanic. Sure, the vehicle wasn't really that overpowered for the average player, but that doesn't mean that it was a fair and balanced tank. It's the same exact argument for this, where this vehicle has the ability to dump 900 hit points instantly. The Sheridan missile, a lot of people argued, was balanced, and a lot of people didn't. But Wargaming took the right move and removed it from the game. This gun, I've said multiple times, in the testing stages, twice, I said that this gun should not exist. And that's still what I agree with. I think that Wargaming should have just had a 3-shot gun on this vehicle, and that should have been it. But they kept it on, and that's the issue. This is pretty much a tier 10 Barask with armor. So that's my personal opinion. Again, if you disagree with me, please let me know in the comments down below. But please keep it civil. People always like to just go blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, what's the point of trying to have like a normal debate if you're just going to get all mad? So please keep it civil. But yeah, apart from that, hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. This is my personal opinion on the Yoh, and this is practically every good player's opinion I've talked to so far. All the super unicoms, all the good YouTubers, pretty much everybody that I've heard. Even Pantoof is able to set an insane damage record of 8,000 damage within the first day of its release. It's definitely cracked. And the thing that I try to say here, and this is something that frustrates me about the Blitz community, is people will pin this vehicle as not good, and they'll pin it as balanced because they don't do well in it, or they perceive it as not doing well. The thing that I always say is don't make an opinion on a tank until you fully understand how to play it. If you clearly see that there's people like Fatness, players like me, players like Pantoof, Meadsy, all making videos, all agreeing that the gun on this tank, the ability to do that amount of damage, not only that, but the average damage we are having in this vehicle, the fact that I had a 7,000 damage game yesterday and didn't even ace it, it shows the fact that this vehicle is definitely something not what it should be currently, and that it should be changed. And if you disagree with that because you're not personally performing well in the tank, and you're just calling it bad because of that, that's just not having an open mind. You need to learn how to play a tank. You can't just base how you're doing if you're averaging 1,000 damage in it and saying, oh, it's just bad because I'm not doing well. That's something I want everybody to keep an open mind. For any tank in the game, a lot of people always like to argue, certain tanks are bad. Even the M6 30B, you can argue that it's a bad tank, but there's plenty of people out there that love the tank, and I like it myself. So the thing I want to point out in the end of this video is that if you're not performing well in a vehicle that certain people say is very strong, and there's a huge amount of people that agree with that, make sure you understand how to play it. That's just one thing I always like to say. Now, I'm not hating on anybody out there. If you don't understand how to play it, that's completely fine. That's why I try to make tutorials and, teach everybody how to play it. But stating that a tank's just bad because you're not performing well in it is definitely something that I don't like people doing, because that's just lazy. That's not learning to get better. That's just complaining because you can. So hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more like it, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.